Still, again to the comic's credit, we have another advantage that the movie does not. The Trade Federation's accents.
As you know, our blockade is perfectly legal.
What? What did you say?
My lord, is that legal?
Again, you come before us, your highness. We would never do anything without the approval of the Senate.
As has been pointed out before, it sounds very, very much like a racist Asian stereotype. You know the kind. The sort of thing that'd be in, like, a 1940s or 50s comedy where a white dude is in yellowface or something. And let's be clear here, I don't think that Lucas intended to be racist here. It was just a bad creative decision because, hey, aliens in Star Wars have weird accents and languages. The comic not having that means that I can give them any accent I want, giving them the dignity they deserve. I know nothing about any ambassadors. You must be mistaken. The troop transports arrive in Naboo in some swamp areas and begin going through a forest on their way to the capital city. Qui-Gon apparently got ahead of them and has to flee from them along with all the other life forms, and unfortunately he encounters an alien that he throws to the ground when it grabs onto him from being scared. If somehow you have completely avoided Star Wars stuff, this is Jar Jar Binks. As I mentioned with fan entitlement, sometimes that entitlement can turn particularly toxic, sending death threats and hate messages towards people involved with the thing you're a fan of. Like an actor for a character they played, as was happened to Ahmed Best, who played Jar Jar Binks. It is never appropriate. It is never okay. Ahmed Best and Jake Lloyd faced so much hardship after this movie, and it's sickening. And it's important to state that. I may not like this movie, but that in no way extends to the actors playing characters in it. These are all talented people trying to do their best. As we go through this, I will explain my problems with the character as he comes up, but for me, the big issue is that he's just not funny, which is a bit of a problem when they're meant to be comic relief. Frankly, I got more amusement out of Amidala acting super serious in meetings while dressed as Krusty the Queen. Misa stay. Misa called Jar Jar Binks. Misa use humble servant. The first problem with Jar Jar's comic relief is the way he talks. Others have pointed out that it's very reminiscent of, again, racist stereotypes in old movies. In this case, almost minstrel show depictions of black people. And like the Trade Federation, it of course wasn't intentional. They were just trying to do silly voices and accents. But you add them together and it makes it uncomfortable and head-tilting. But even if you divorce those kinds of criticisms, it just sounds dumb. I think that really spells out the big issue with the Phantom Menace overall. When it's trying to be serious, it's silly. And when it's trying to be silly, it's moronic. You have our Jedi trying to evade capture by the battle droids and help the Naboo leadership with this invasion, but here comes Jar Jar all, ooh, Misa so cowardly. Misa gonna step in poop now. It just becomes frustrating. Padme gets into no problems whatsoever. Instead, it's the other companion who's tagging along who gets into trouble. This right here is where Jar Jar was make or break, and mainly why he doesn't work. In my opinion, Jar Jar's presence does not positively impact the story. His antics do nothing to advance the plot, nor does he provide helpful or insightful commentary on the Jedi, the Republic, anything like that, which would be good for the audience. He's not even really some big connection to the Gungans. Well, he needed to be there to have them meet the Gungans and get them transport to the capital. Yeah, because it was written that way. Lucas could have just put them down right outside the city. One could also wonder, wait, why did they even land on the other side of the planet anyway? But I'm guessing they were securing some other major Naboo city. It's a big planet. I'm assuming they have lots of cities. Not very many people in them, but cities. More on that later. Now, Jar Jar is not pointless. As we've established, he's comic relief. And comic relief is a purpose. In Empire Strikes Back, 3PO served as comic relief without any other purpose in the story, and it worked really well. Jar Jar, however, does not. Comic relief needs to be handled delicately. Too much of it and everything becomes a farce. Or just frustrating. And that happens with Jar Jar. He shows up way too often and at the worst parts. Comic relief needs to be paced properly, there to relieve tension or provide levity to an otherwise serious situation. 3PO's form of comic relief is his snootiness, someone who thinks way too highly of himself getting taken down a peg. Jar Jar is an idiot. His comic relief comes in the funny way he talks and in slapstick occurring because of his buffoonery. And again, that can work. There are plenty of Hollywood movies where the focus is on someone who's a complete moron for 2 hours, but again, too much, too quickly, and our heroes look absolutely incompetent when they bring him with them for no reason. He's an amphibious being that is going along on this quest to a desert city. As far as we have seen, he has no bartering skills, he's not particularly strong to act as muscle, nor is he technically inclined so as to have special knowledge for the equipment they need. So why is he there? I did love the Darth Jar Jar theory from a few years ago, but we know it's bullcrap. If that had been the plan, Lucas wouldn't have dialed him back in the following movies. He would have kept him in so he could retroactively go, see, that's why. Also, Lucas just isn't that great of a writer to think of it. Jar Jar, being ever helpful, decides to just randomly grab some alien frog to eat, but spits it out when the shopkeeper tells him he has to pay for that. It lands in the soup of Sebulba, a pod racer who gets ready to tear Jar Jar apart, but Anakin convinces him to leave it be. Nevertheless, the boy is right. You are heading into trouble. And no one would ever want bad things to happen to you, Jar Jar. The parts get delivered to the ship, but Qui-Gon has to head back to go pick up Anakin. Why do I sense we've picked up another pathetic life form? God, not even the other characters like Jar Jar. That's harsh. Over to Jar Jar and Amidala, they talk about their worries for what'll happen to the Gungans. This scene right here is what we needed more of from Jar Jar. He's more dignified, he's more serious. Sure, his weird way of speaking undermines it a bit, but he actually makes an interesting point. Gungans no die without a fight. We's a warriors. We's got a grand army. That why you no liking us, methinks. It's a subtler bit that I don't think anyone ever caught on to. The Naboo apparently don't have a standing army of their own. Is their conflict based around fear that the Gungans will be the aggressors in a war? It'd be interesting if this was explored more, but instead it seems to be more of an epiphany moment for Amidala, that she has to actually fight back and not hope for more peaceful means of settling this conflict. Though if it is, it's really underplayed. And again, it's a moment with Jar Jar where he's not being an embarrassment. This is what we needed more of in the movie. Less straight-up comic relief, maybe even more moments of insight, but whatever. Padme humbles herself before Boss Nass, having everyone bow to him and making it clear they need his help and will do what they need to secure it. This is sadly another missed opportunity for Jar Jar as a character. We could have had him be the bridge between the two cultures. Maybe have him reveal Padme as the true queen. Like he had some insight or was a skilled observer who figured it out before anyone else did. But no, instead we just have Boss Nass declaring Jar Jar to be a general of their forces while claiming that he brought them together. This is also in spite of the fact that Jar Jar was exiled for being clumsy, and you want to give him command over troops? Again, this could have been an arc for Jar Jar. Maybe he's clumsy and slapsticky to start off with, but then he sees his own people getting killed and tortured, and he takes a level in badass, or he's some savant in military strategy, but never had the opportunity until now to show it off. Anyway, they wonder who would actually propose such a radical amendment. Blue Devil Guy saying, "If only Senator Amidala was here. She'd totally do that." Even though, no, she seemed pretty adamant not to do so, but we'll talk more about that next week. No, it's Jar Jar who steps up to the plate and says he'll do it. And by the way, this is the first time he's shown up in the comic at all. I think it's pretty clear the creators on this one didn't like him and just left him out entirely until they had to bring him in. Jar Jar gets blamed for the creation of the Empire, both in and out of universe, and that's a bit unfair. There's no way he could have known this would happen.